Hi guys, and hopefully we see a better service level from this point forward. We've just reduced the amount of bandwidth we're taking up, and that might help. So do let us know in the chat box, please, whether what you're seeing is of a better quality. Meanwhile, we are on the final table of the roller. So Lee, while I just check around on this end, do you want to maybe, and Natalie, talk through a couple of hands?
Yeah, you've just gone live again, so... Oh, nicely entitled Natalie Part 2.
There we go.
Look at that.
I don't quite know what to say to that, Natalie, really. To be fair, he could have come up with all sorts of taglines to go on the end of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to take that one as a win.
Now, do you and I need to do a quick duet of leaving on a jet plane, or are we good to go, do you think? Yeah?
Let's do it. Hold on.
Facebook are watching.
Here we go.
So we're down to 7 now. So we're in the money on the roller. Our cash bubble was Alan Henderson, unfortunately finished in 8th. So congratulations to the 7 that are left, and we will see this play. Nice bit of cash up top, actually, $525 up top. So
wow, that is good. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm trying to play along at the same time. So let me just get rid of that.
You carry on. So Chris Bean says it sounds a lot better when Des isn't headbutting his mic.
That's fantastic. That was fantastic.
Paul Haycock wants to touch wood, but that's entirely normally it's Todd Wood, isn't it? Yeah.
No, I tell you what,
always.
touching wood and my mic, eh?
So Asa says yay. I mean, I don't know how Ace is in a good mood after the second 45 minutes today. And to anyone that watched that second 45 minutes today,
my God,
deserves some sort of prize for actually getting through it. Two extremes of football. What was first half actually had Roy Keane happy with a smile on his face, and then the second half was pretty disastrous. So
he was on form today. Actually, he wasn't being his usual self.
I quite like, although sometimes he just wants to pick a fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like him when he's being reasonable, and I like his bluntness, and I like his ability just to call out the nonsense. But it just annoys me when he's being antagonistic for the sake of it, because I've just really not got any time for that.
No, there's no need to, because actually, the way he analyzes stuff and talks about stuff, it doesn't require it to be, in your face. You can actually have a sensible discussion. He was having a go at who was it? The
it was
the Australian guy.
Kyle.
It was Kyle Walker, wasn't it?
It was Kyle Walker. He called him an idiot, didn't he?
Yeah, he said he's always got that in his locker, didn't he? Yeah, he did. Yeah, for the penalty.
I don't know if either of you guys saw it, but there was a little video doing the rounds after the game, where Keane is obviously stood up in a moment where they're not, they're obviously showing the game's ongoing, and he's applying a little bit of makeup, as you do when you're under the lights. And Michael Richards is just howling. He is just howling with laughter. It is, it's infectious. It's only 20 seconds long, but it's just like, makes you feel good.
I do. I love it.
So hopefully, by the looks of the chat, it looks like we're up and running.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone. Again,
as Martin's all in with ace 10 against the sixes of Florian, and the sixes are going to be good to give Florian a double up. Blinds are now 8,000, 16,000. So,
can I just make a quick observation here? I think this deserves a little bit of announcement. We have two women on the final table. We get that a lot in APAT events. APAT events are good champions of women's poker, but two women on the final table. So I don't care which one of you does it, but I am definitely team Joe and team Shirley. Does Joe like Joe? Or is it Joanne?
Yes. Yeah,
Joe
she's good.
Yeah. But
she's only Joanna if she's in trouble. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Joe, team Shirley. Come on.
I'll tell you what, the two of them, bless their cotton socks, have been around for a while with APAT, and they've been winning big events. I mean, Shirley's won APAT Nationals.
I wonder where
Joe's
you were going with that.
WCOAP.
Nicely recovered, Des.
Well, they've both been around a bit,
Did they not teach you boys this in primary school?
Hell no.
How to just avoid these pitfalls?
No, we're boys. Honestly. We're boys. We just fall into these little crevices. Can I say that?
You probably can't even say that, to be honest.
Some I'm not sure. Detail. We're smutty. I guess we're just smutty, aren't we? But thankfully, our audience is angelic, and they won't pick up any of these references.
What a time to wake up with aces! What a time to wake up with aces! Just needs to avoid the 9 on the river, or the final ace hits as well. So Joe's going to knock a couple of players out and add to a chip lead.
Go, Joe. Gosh, she's on a massive chip lead.
She's in a massive chip lead now, 5-handed. Yeah.
So if Shirley could just take out Gareth and Tony and Brian, we can have an all-female heads up. That would be awesome.
And I don't know whether you've ever seen Jo. I mean, we've had Jo on the stream a number of times where she's got heads up. She was heads up in the NHS charity tournament earlier on during the first lockdown. And she plays a good heads up, does Jo?
She does.
Really does.
She's also painfully unlucky as well, though. She runs into some awful bad beats when she's heads up, or certainly when she gets short-handed as well. I've seen a few final tables of Jo's where it's been down to the last 2 or 3, and it's just some of the beats she gets are horrendous. I thought I ran bad. Jesus.
Well, do you know what? I'll tell you how bad. I'll tell you how bad Jo runs. Jason doesn't even bring her a cup of tea when she does the show. That's how bad she runs.
Stays well away.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not on, is it really? Yeah.
I'll tell you. Listen, I'll tell you a female you do not want to mess with, and that's Shirley. I don't know if you've read any of these poker books that are going around at the moment, Natalie, but Lee and I helped launch it. This is where you call, right? So it's a poker book from Rob Needham. We helped him launch that last weekend, and Shirley won a competition to be part of it. So she is a character in the book.
She's great.
Yeah, and she's got her, he references her King Jack tattoo, which she has, which was a winning hand from an APAT event. He references the APAT event and all of that stuff, and she plays this really tough character. And she gives one cheeky bloke a bit of a talking to right at the start of her little plot line, and absolutely fantastic. You need to buy that book. It's only like £2, £3, £4, whatever online. But Shirley's character's amazing, and it's very Shirley-like, I would say as well. No,
so I'll get, because funnily enough, my two, because I'm a bit of I much prefer the a proper paperback rather than the digital one. So my two copies of the 2 books.
Oh my God, this woman. Sorry.
Sorry.
So the first. So the first book.
Clearly something happened on my table that I'm playing on. This woman is.
So the first book, then, Natalie. Let me give you the quick off the back page. So, 2 kids, a mortgage, his father-in-law in a nursing home, and one stupid mistake leaves Steve Ash jobless and in debt. Cheated out of his business by a former friend, Steve is suddenly loaded with a debt he can barely pay. Anxious to support his young family, he's desperate to sort out the mess.
Wow, that's heavy.
It's proper good stuff. And
that's what we can be doing in the next 4 weeks.
I'll give you the first bit from the second book. Trapped by the technology he designed, Steve Ash finds himself working for the mob, but an unexpected meeting offers him a way out. Will Steve risk his own life and the lives of his family to escape his tormentors?
How did he go from designing technology, which is pretty skillful and highly qualified job, to working for the mob?
You're going to have to read the books. You're going to have to read the books.
It's a very easy link.
Some leap.
I'll tell you where, every page, it just smells of Grosvenor poker. That's all that I'm going to say. Rank casinos and Grosvenor casinos. It's all over the place. I'm telling you now. That Steve plays a tour. It's called the JUKPT.
Oh,
it's
lovely.
Absolutely fantastic.
Not even subtle. Just no attempt to.
He's straight in there. He's the dynasty. I tell you what, he is the dynasty of poker writers. Rob has just gone into that niche. We're all part of the entourage now, I have to say. But Shirley won this competition, and she's a great little character.
That's amazing.
And there's a competition for his next book, which is the 3rd and final part of this trilogy. And I don't think I'll give too many secrets away. I think I can say this, but this Steve Ash bloke, right? He just sits down and overnight he designs a sort of it's almost like an RFID type table idea. Where the cards have certain implanted logos or whatever on the back, and he develops a pair of glasses that you can sit at a table with, and you can read everybody's cards sat at a live poker table. Well, it's a howl from that point onwards, I can tell you. This lad's biggest problem is how do I cheat people when I'm on a TV table? That's his single biggest problem, apart from the mob and all of that other good stuff. It's
and his fallen tech career. You know, that's the least of his worries. Well, there you go. I'm going to be rushing to the bookstore for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm tilting a little bit in this tournament I'm playing, guys.
So what are you playing?
Just explain. So what are you playing, Natalie? We should
Yeah.
explain what you're playing.
To start off with everything else, I've bust everything else. So I'm tilting anyway.
You
So
can
the only
thank
thing
us.
I'm left in is the Sky UCOPS main event. And there's this. I think it's a woman, but it might not be. It might be a bloke who's decided just join. Sometimes you're a bit paranoid about this, but you know when you can just tell somebody's going after your chips, and she's just giving me the runaround like you wouldn't believe. She's just calling me and raising me with utter garbage cars and just hitting miracles. And I'm trying to trap her, and then that's just not going so well for me. So I need a table move, guys. How do we know anybody in Sky that I can just ring up and say, "Oh, get her off my table"?
TK. Let's get TK on the blower.
We must.
We'll get TK on the. Yeah, well, we can sort that out.
We must have enough sway now. So apologies. I would definitely be playing APAT, and I was playing APAT before, and I would be playing lots on Party Poker, but I busted it all. So I'm sorry. And I can't multi-table and do this as well. I'll come off terrible.
How are you have you played any of the Monster series stuff yet?
Yeah, I did. I played day 1B today of the $33 one, which I bust about 2 minutes before we went on air. So that was excellent.
Standard protocol. That's how.
Pretty much. Yeah. The poker god said I needed to concentrate for this illustrious show, so I was allowed just one table.
Well, the poker gods were clearly not happy, and they nearly took us down. Natalie, they
nearly took us down.
I think that's all because I'm guessing for anyone that didn't get to see, Des opened up the show today with a picture of Donald Trump and Natalie and leaving on a jet plane blasting out. So to be honest, I'm not surprised Facebook took us down.
Boom!
He's
you are
risking it
playing
again.
with fire.
You'll have to.
Oh,
you're right. Maybe it was that. No, hold on. Let me turn this off. There we go. Let's just go back to the poker. Forget. Shh. Don't say anything. Don't mention leaving on a.
No, that could have been it. Yeah, that could have been it. You never know.
I can't believe everybody missed our first 4 minutes high quality discussion around Donald Trump's sort of exit from the White House.
Well, he's not though,
I think
is he?
it's going to. 74 days yet now. Well, actually, 73 days but now before he goes. Oh, it's been a good week. I'm so happy. It feels like the world has taken a collective exhale of breath, and it's quite interesting seeing the narrative being put out on all of the congratulatory tweets and messages for Joe Biden. I think everybody's kind of just ignoring him now. And do you not think that his sway on Twitter seems to have gone overnight? Like people just are not paying him any attention anymore. I don't know if I'm just. It feels like his influence on the world has vanished overnight.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine his fury when all the world's leaders were congratulating.
Oh, can you imagine?
Can you imagine that? He's lost this incredible influence. I'm really just waiting for Twitter to say, right, sorry, mate, you can't use that account anymore because, frankly, you're a troll, right? That's what you are.
But he loses his privileges, doesn't he, on January the 20th next year? So he gets certain protections from Twitter at the moment. The world leaders get. So he's allowed to post inflammatory, which I think is appalling. He's allowed to post his inflammatory tweets as long as it's considered to be in the interests of the world. I don't understand how that is in the interests of anybody with his crap that he spouts out on Twitter. But as soon as it's gone, he loses that privilege. So he can be banned. Anyway, all they can do now is just put warning notes on his tweets to say this may not be true.
Frankly, it's embarrassing. I mean, how embarrassing has he been?
It feels like the last. I don't think I realised until yesterday when the result came in just how suffocated we've all felt this last 4 years. It was incredible that he got here in the first place, and then it was almost accepted a little bit that obviously there were people who voted for him, and there was. There was a movement, albeit not one that we all particularly agreed with, but there was a movement in the States towards a different political climate there. And I think we all just accepted it, and then it just became the norm. And we have over the last 4 years normalized his extreme, divisive, and just awful behaviour. And I don't think I realised just how suffocated we all felt until yesterday when it came out that he was going. I don't know what I would have done if he'd have won a second term. It would have been horrendous.
It's interesting because I had a similar sort of come to Jesus moment. I've spent the good portions of the last 3 or 4 evenings sort of just watching CNN to see whether we could get over the line somewhere, right? And,
oh God!
My little 8-year-old son Josh, he sort of pops in every now and again. Oh, is that still going on, Dad? Is that not over yet? That sort of stuff. And I whispered to him, a day and a half ago, I said, it's over, son. Trump is gone. He's no longer the president. And he went, yeah, Dad, that's really great. And then I had this come to Jesus moment, thinking to myself, oh shit, what am I going to do for the next 4 years, sort of in the evening? If Trump's gone, I mean, what the hell am I going to do?
That's true. We can, there's always going to be somebody who's going to provide us some entertainment. It's not going to be on the biggest international stage in the world.
That's like Showtime every night.
The thing is, I don't think it's going to go away because
no, I think you're right.
You've got a similar situation in America, and they're going to find out what we've been going through post Brexit vote, in that was so close to call. Yeah. That you've got millions and millions and millions of people that didn't get what they wanted in the vote. What is it now? 70 million people voted for Trump.
Yes.
In America. 70 million people.
But I mean,
scary.
But 4 years ago, though, when Trump beat Hillary, he lost the popular vote. More people in America voted for Hillary than him. So it's just because of the ridiculous electoral college system that he got in 4 years ago anyway. Yeah. So I think 4 years ago, America still had that problem, Liam, but they had more people in the US who had, at least in this scenario, the majority of people. Biden won the popular vote and the electoral college vote. So at least the majority of people, albeit it's quite a fine margin. But 4 years ago, America had been living through that in 4 years, but then they were also suffocated with these ridiculous policies. And actually, nothing's been done in the last 4 years. If you look back on what Trump's legacy was, well, politically, what's he done? There's no policies he's brought in.
In fairness to Trump, he has built 9 miles of wall.
That's true.
It was around the White House, and it was very, very recently.
About 48 hours ago.
But I think that's the sum total. And I think what is really scary is that I sort of understand why people might have voted for him in 2016, because they may have seen him as this larger than life, reality TV guy, and just thought, well, this is going to be huge fun. Let's bring him in. But having had 4 years, particularly in the last year, where he has literally screwed everything, I just don't understand how 70 million people voted for him.
Well, I think you've got to, it's very easy, particular, and Trump does this to you. He is very divisive this way. It's very easy to default into categorizing all Trump supporters into this caricature of themselves, this, fully this bigoted, horrible, the racist and very bigoted group of fans that we know that his fanatics are. But if you take out of those 70 million who voted for them, there will be a good chunk of those who are Republican at heart. They are very conservative, the Bible Belt country, and they may absolutely detest Trump and what he's doing, but they would still rather vote for a Republican because they can't bring themselves to vote for a Democrat. And then there are other people as well who understand what a difficult character he is and how dangerous he is, but do put the economy above anything else, above COVID. And they genuinely believed, even after 4 years, that Trump would be the best person to get their economy back on track, and wanted a change from just the absolute circus that Washington has become. So I don't think all Trump supporters are in that breed of dangerous, the horrible characteristics that we see from their leader. But you can bet your life there's a good chunk of them. And I just worry how long it's going to take to put that reawakened, very extreme, bigoted view back to suppression again, which is where it deserves to be. And I think that's going to take a while.
One of the problems is going to happen is how quickly he came out declaring, it's voter fraud. I've won. And the trouble is a lot of the public, those that have voted for him, supporters, straight away have believed that. So as far as they're concerned now, they don't need to see any evidence. As far as they're concerned, he's tweeted out and said it's voter fraud.
Yeah.
So as far as they're concerned, they've been cheated out of their vote. It's
but isn't that a real testament to the character we're dealing with here? He's such an absolute megalomaniac that he would rather allow the everyday people of America to lose all faith in their perfectly legitimate democratic system and believe that there is a fraud just to save the embarrassment of actually coming out and allowing his ego to say that he lost fair and square. Yeah. And I just think you never deserved to hold that office. And honestly, I got so emotional yesterday just with relief and everything. And I just thought, I'm just so relieved that he's gone. And it just feels like the end is here. We can actually get rid of him. He's a despicable, horrible, just disgusting person. I can't believe he's been at the top of the power for as long as he has.
Yeah. But listen, enough about Stuart Ward. Let's move on to something else.
One thing I was going to ask Natalie on that, because you've been quite vocal on social media in the past week about it all, and listening to you now, I'm sure people are listening, and saying, well, yeah, I can understand, you're passionate about it. Somebody asked you a question, I think it might have been on Facebook, and said, well, why would you care so much?
Oh,
I wanted to allow you to give your response back on here, because actually it's a fair question, I guess. To a certain extent. It is a fair
question. It was a challenging one to answer, to be honest. Yeah, it was a question that came from Facebook, and I've obviously been enjoying this week very much, and I've been engaged in and really wanted him out. And I got the question on Facebook, which was phrased saying, "Can I please ask you why you care so much about, or apart from the obvious, why do you care so much about getting Trump out? Like, why does it affect you personally?" And I think there's probably three parts to that, and I'll keep it as quick as I can. I think the first part, why does anything have to affect you personally for you to care about it and engage in it? Even if we simplify this to charitable work or charitable donations, I am very, very lucky at the moment that there are diseases out there, such as, say, heart disease or cancer, that nobody within my family is personally affected by. That doesn't stop me donating and caring about that cause. So I don't think you need to be personally affected by something to care about what's going on globally and what's happening to other people in the world. But then the second point of that is, well, actually, it does affect us personally. The US-UK relations are very big and they're very strong, and the US is the leader. And you've got to look at the economic impact. You've got to look at how it's going to affect the Brexit negotiations, our trade deal with America, how it's going to affect our security arrangements going forward, things like the Paris Agreement and the climate change, things that the Trump administration were coming out of. They are all joint policies that America and the UK work together. So actually, the American election does affect us personally, and we should be engaged in it. So I think the question she probably should have asked me, and was probably the one she was getting at, but phrased it not quite the right way, was, why are you team Biden and you're not team Trump? And I don't think we necessarily need to go into that, because we've talked about it. I mean, it would have been anybody but him. And I don't think we need any more than the obvious. I think the obvious is enough. So it was a challenging question to try and keep my cool and answer.
Yeah. So let me ask a question to both of you, because I know you both obviously have followed it considerably over the past 4 years, if not just the past 4 weeks. But obviously Biden winning is great. How important are going to be these 2 additional Senate seats in Georgia to get it effectively to a 50-50 in the Senate, which means then the vice president would have the effectively the deciding vote on then actually getting things sorted in the next 4 years?
Well, my 2 cents on that, and Natalie, you're probably closer to this than me, but my 2 cents on that, as I understand it, is that a number of people are quite relieved that maybe the Democrats aren't going to have that majority, because it will allow for equilibrium, it will allow for healthy debate, it will remove the possibility, for example, that a ton of these Trump supporters have, the concerns that they have that the filibuster and packing the Supreme Court and all of that sort of stuff, I think there would be a lot of suspicion that if the Democrats held everything, that they would just go with a totally leftist type strategy, if you like. So there should be some calm brought about by the fact that maybe the Democrats don't hold everything.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. And this is probably an answer that people maybe didn't expect me to say, but all democratic systems, all democracies is a better word, rely on a system of checks and balances. We have it here with the democratic parties. We have it here with the House of Commons and the House of Lords. You have to have a check and balance. You can't allow one political party to have absolute dominance over the policies and the laws that are being made, because, as Des quite rightly said, you then get an imbalance, and you have one party who's representing a certain set of voters who are doing things against the interests of an opposing party set of supporters. So actually, and this is something we're taught in law school. It's something that we're taught in my practice area. It's actually a very good thing that the House, that the Republicans have kept hold of the Senate, and that they do keep hold of the Senate in the next couple of months, because what that will then allow them is an honest pause on the steamroller of policies that the Democrats want to put through, and just some genuine questions of, are you sure that's the right thing? And actually, we don't agree with this, we don't agree with that, and we want to bring this back and bring this in. So yeah, as much as I'm thrilled with the presidential race, I am hoping for a hold for the Republicans in the Senate for sure.
That's fair enough. Just quickly back to the roller. Unfortunately, it's not looking good for Shirley and Joe here at the moment. Shirley's just doubled Gaz up and is now all in. King 9 versus Bryant's 8. Got some outs though here on that board, but is not going to get there, and we're going to lose Shirley in 5th place. And Joe is very much, she's got 4 big blinds, so unfortunately, yeah, Joe is going to be probably all in. And there it is now, very next hand. Joe's gone all in this time, but gets that one through, so lives to fight another day, so to speak.
I think the added benefit to the whole Trump situation as well. Joe's in trouble, in a world of trouble.
Oh, just saying that. The ace on the river is not going to make a lot of difference, because she needed a 10, and the trips for Tommy means we're down to the final 3. Unlucky Joe. Didn't get what you wanted, Natalie, unfortunately.
No.
I know, I feel really responsible. I completely botched both of them. That was horrendous. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, both of you.
This show does not believe in bocking. Right? We don't see that as
it's
a
thing.
thing.
I've seen it on this show. It is a thing. I know that the UCOP show, the APAT show, bock is a thing.
No. We'd have been burned out. We'd have been pitchforked out some time ago had we admitted that was a thing. But the other positive to Trump leaving is that we might get a new series of The American Apprentice.
Yay.
Wow.
We are clutching, my friend. We are clutching.
Well, the last one went on forever.
Proper cheery, aren't you, with that? Yeah. Well, who knows? Because I can't quite work out what's going on with television at the moment. It's a bit weird, because you all of a sudden you get a series come out and you think, well, when did they film that, or when did they record that? Because everyone's been on lockdown since March, so what's going on? And then other stuff gets cancelled, other stuff is going on. Hollywood and movies are talking about, they pretty much kind of mothballed most of what they're doing. It's weird.
I think there was some special rules, wasn't there, in the summer for television to I think they were allowed to film under certain circumstances, and I think if they were COVID safe, then they were allowed to film some stuff, which is why I've got some new stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough.
I wrote it up on the Facebook last week, but have either of you guys seen the Queen's Gambit yet?
No, Diver told me to watch that. It looks supposed to be very good.
Yeah. How about you, Lee? Have you seen it?
I haven't, but you did mention it last week. It's on my list of things to watch. You said it's very good, yeah.
It's definitely a week for championing all things female, isn't it? I think this is the week that we start watching these kind of programs, and it's definitely a week to shout from the rooftops. But
talking about obviously recording and doing stuff, so you've not that long ago did a big interview with your podcast, didn't you? That went down really well. Did you catch any of that, Des?
Which interview was this? With the chap from the BBC?
Oh, is this me? So I thought you were talking to Des. I was like, oh, okay. Who did you interview?
No.
Hell no.
Oh, Christ.
Oh, I've never done anyone big.
Okay.
Sorry,
Oh,
Natalie. Sorry.
No, so
we're okay. We're
so
okay.
so obviously, Natalie, your international break last time round.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was asking Des, did you catch any of that interview?
Is this the BBC radio
It
presenter
is.
and Burnley fan?
Yes.
Yeah, I called the whole thing. 47 minutes of absolute gold. Loved it. I thought it was
Thank
a great
you.
interview. I thought the two of you just chatted away like old mates, and it's reassuring to to hear a podcast or to actually learn that there are radio hosts out there who are passionate about football, who aren't just treating it as a job and what have you, and a way to drive clicks or whatever else they might be up to. But I love the story of this guy, not fully understanding why he was a massive Burnley fan, because he left the town at a young age, but yet the family still live there. He goes back regularly. He loves his bacon butty every morning on a Saturday after travelling up by bus or coach or whatever to see the game. It was just a really sort of heartwarming story, really. I liked it very much.
Now, and obviously,
Yeah,
Natalie,
thank you very much. That's very kind to say. I mean, it's easy for me.
Yeah, you've got you've got some other. You've told me we're allowed to talk about the one you've got coming up.
You
yeah?
are.
We are allowed to talk about it. Des, you don't know anything about this, do you?
No.
Right, excellent. So we can we could play a fun little game here then, couldn't we?
Okay. Go for it.
So Natalie is doing another interview.
Yeah.
With a Burnley related guest. During the international break, so you can play a little game here of yes or no. You can ask Natalie some yes or no questions. Try and work out who it is.
Okay. Man or woman?
Man.
Celebrity or non-celebrity? I'm going to assume a celebrity of some sort.
Celebrity in a big way.
Sports or entertainment?
Neither.
Oh, that's interesting. Politics?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Current or past?
Past.
Politics. Past politics.
Past.
Crikey, is this where I'm-
Past, but still prominent.
Okay, so an analyst of some sort, or a commentator of some sort, perhaps. I'm gonna get lost here because British politics probably isn't my biggest thing, and Burnley fans, my knowledge would be fairly limited there.
Funny,
I'm
really?
trying to be kind here, but I feel I might have reached the bottom of the warren. Young or old? That might be unkind. That might be unkind.
It's not young, but I wouldn't say
You
old.
wouldn't say old either. Crikey. Previous party leader?
No, but very influential to this particular party's leader.
Well, that could
What
be
does a washing machine do when it's on a cycle?
Dear, oh dear, you've embarrassed me now.
What does the drum do? What does the drum do?
Before I try and answer that, what is a washing machine?
Believe me,
What
Adam's
does the
not
drum
so
do?
surprised
It
that I
bangs,
know what
bang,
we're
baby,
talking
bang. Is it? I don't know, Ozzy Osbourne or something?
about. It is not. No. If I was to say to you that this person is the king of spin, would you know who that was?
Well, that would have been Alistair Campbell or somebody like that, wouldn't
And that would be correct.
That would
He
be
is the next
correct.
guest on the show.
Yes.
Awesome.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how absolutely terrified do you think I am about this
Well,
podcast? I'm gonna have to do?
I hope football is only a little bit of what you speak to him about, because I can't imagine anyone more interesting to talk to. And frankly, I don't know if you followed any of his Twitter rantings about Trump, but he is deeply involved in that discussion on a daily basis. I would have thought he would be an incredibly interesting guy to talk to right now. So
Yeah,
good on
definitely.
ya.
It's going to be a tough one for me because it is a Burnley football podcast, and our listeners are big Burnley fans. But
Yeah,
I
of
think
course.
even our listeners would relish the opportunity to depart from just football and Burnley. And you know, he comes to away games with us. He sits on the terraces with us, so enough people have talked to him to know that. I definitely want to try, and I'm hoping for like maybe a 60-30 ratio. We talk football for 30% of it, and then we literally, because I just think, when am I ever going to get this opportunity again? It's like,
how did you line this one up, Natalie?
We're ballsy as hell and emailed him we have a little bio that we send. You know what, my podcast is quite a big podcast. You know, we've just gone over 400,000 unique listeners. Not listeners. So, you know, our podcast has been listened to over 400,000 times now, and it's in a very small area of the country. It's very well known. So we have enough of facts to put forward quite an impressive, what's the word I'm looking for? A little mini CV to reach out to people and say, look, would you be prepared to come on and speak to our listeners? And, you know, we get a decent amount of listeners, and, you know, if you don't ask, you don't get. So we just emailed him and just said, would you do it? You know, Jordan North was easy because he listens to the show, but
well, I was going to say, but the chances are, you know, if Alice Campbell is somebody who travels to Burnley games, you know, on occasion, there's every chance that he's heard of No.
Oh, absolutely,
Never, right? There's every chance,
absolutely.
right? So,
but that's how we got Ian Wright. We had Ian Wright not so long ago.
Yeah,
I did an interview with him just before lockdown, when you could see people in. I was down at Media City when he was recording Match of the Day 2, and he literally just gave me an hour of his time and did an Ian Wright special, and that was the same thing. You just email them and ask.
That's awesome.
I think the big thing for me is we aren't a monetized. We set up None and Ever to make it a community thing. Burnley's not a very rich town. It's very, people struggle in Burnley, and what we wanted to, and in an age where, in the Premier League especially, where it's pay-per-view everything and heavy Sky subscriptions to be able to watch anything, and local media is just dying out, we wanted to give something of entertainment and a discussion point for fans for free as part of the community. And I think that has a big sway on getting some of these big guests in, because they know that by appearing on our podcast, they're not lining people's pockets and they're not giving up their time and not being paid for it. They are giving something back to a community that they care about, and giving people access to an interview for free that they wouldn't necessarily be able to access. And I think that's a big part of it. It's very important to me. It's a very important part of None and Ever for me.
No, I absolutely love it. And there's nothing quite like doing something that you feel madly passionate about, right?
Absolutely.
I do a little football thing, you know, as you would half expect in this day and age. Everybody does a little football thing. We're not all quite as big as you yet, Natalie. But I had this guy on, and we did a 40-minute interview on Liverpool's P&L. It was hilarious. Wow. We got like about 20,000 views. It was insane. We talked about the balance sheet, but you know, this guy was a finance expert, so we went through, you know, sort of how Liverpool deal with player values and all of that stuff. It was insane. It was brilliant.
That sounds amazing.
But listen,
obviously,
it's not
I turned Des Downer, so there's no way am I doing that.
Well, I was just going to say
it's bad enough I have to listen to him go on this show about Liverpool without actually being dedicated to them. For goodness' sake.
Well, listen, I was just going to add that you know, we can't play the white card, the whiter than white card of, you know, there's no payments or anything like that. We give away free beer. It works a treat.
Oh, amazing.
You just need to know somebody at Carlsberg that isn't JP.
It's a handy contacts to have.
Oh, absolument. Oui. Very, very good. So when is Alistair...
As long as you know JP, that's fine. That works.
Oh, so. Yeah. When is Alistair coming in to or indeed you're doing it virtually, of course. When are you having the chat with him, Natalie?
It's going to be next Tuesday, and it will go out probably Thursday. So it's a part of the international break. So we don't do either podcasts. We have 2 podcasts a week now, so we don't do either in an international break. My producer's killing me actually, just because I was like, can I not have a break, please? It's like I do so much, but it's like, no, you know, that week off you're going to have in the internationals. No, you're going to interview Alistair Campbell. It's like, oh Christ, alive. So yeah, it's going to be next Tuesday. I haven't written it yet, which is daunting. So I need to do that.
Do you find when you're doing these writing questions, but then you go with the flow of who you're interviewing? I mean, you can have the greatest structure in the world, but sometimes it can go off in different directions, and you just got to let it go, really. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the best thing. I don't write a script. We write a script for the preview show, which comes out every Friday night, because that's a stats-based show, so that makes sense to have a script. But the actual main podcast, and certainly these ad hoc interviews. We just, I write sections, so I write a structure and I write bullet points that I want to cover during those times. But pretty much every single podcast, they just ebb and flow throughout all the different structures. And the same as I did with Jordan North, the best way you can approach these is, and which is very difficult for me, I'm going to get this in now before JP says this in the chat box. This podcast is, the more you can get them to talk and not you ask the question, because that's why they're there. So it's almost set, you're almost the conductor, just set them off on different directions and let them speak.
Yeah. I mean, it's very similar to this show. I mean, we script every single word on this show every week. I mean, we don't actually follow the script, but we do take the time to actually map out what it is we're going to do.
I tell you what, I tend to find myself at like about 9:30, right? We go live at 10. 9:30, I will come in with a piece of paper and I'll write down maybe 10 things. 10 things. The first might be, for example, lockdown. The second might be job. How is it impacting? The third might be poker. So, are you still playing? Blah, blah. So I might write down 10 things. And I actually find that it's reassuring to have them there because you've always got somewhere to go if it dries up.
Yeah.
But actually, my favorite sort of chats with people literally are no more than that. They're just chats where we don't know where it's going to go. It's just reassuring to have a bit of backup if you need it. But, the more natural it is, I think, the better. I think the biggest guest that we've ever had on, Lee, if I'm not mistaken, was probably Andy Black.
Yeah, I mean, Andy's been on a number of times now, hasn't he? Really, really good. Great
we
guest
normally
to have on.
We tend to call it Andy Black Tuesday, don't we?
Yeah, pretty much. That's it. So I mean, we've been running those now. Every Tuesday for the last couple of months.
Every Tuesday.
It's been. You're actually lucky, Des, because I know we've had a few technical issues tonight, so I kind of left it. But I did the whole kind of guessing who Natalie's guest was going to be. I was going to kind of set up as a new quiz show. Which I thought we could call. I thought we could call guess the guest's guest. So I had it all lined up.
Slick.
So I had a little bit. I had a little bit of theme music ready to go. So
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so I was all ready. If we do want to roll that out, so I think guess the guest has got potential. Yeah, do you think?
I can't believe I failed at. Hey Des, what does a washing machine do?
Yeah,
just let myself down really badly there.
There's a reason why we stopped doing Turbo Millionaire, isn't there?
I tell you what, those are my favorite episodes. Bring back Turbo Millionaire, everyone. Yeah. I can't believe how many of those answers I knew, but that's mostly because I was looking at them. They were right there in front of me.
Well, you do all right at that. We're still three-handed in the roller. Chips have been moving around. At one point when I looked up there, all three of them, Brian, Tommy, and Gaz, all had about 800,000 in chips. Then Gaz had the chip lead for a while. He's now passed that back over to Tommy. So this is very much all up for grabs. These guys are all guaranteed now $225 for third place, but there's $525 up top. Lovely, nice payday on a Sunday night for 4 hours work.
Hey, listen, I tell you what we should do, guys, right? We should have a 1 minute, 60 seconds.
Sorry, Izzy's in the chat box with Turbo.
That's my boy. It's the Warden of the Northeast. We should do absolutely that. We should take a 60-second ramble through the last hour of the chat box, okay? So, Joe Chillmate says, not ever. Pray for Joe. Sorry, Joe, we didn't get that prayer in time. Gaz Howard says, don't mind an all ladies heads up. We'll quickly spin on from that. JP Round unhelpfully said, what's the name of that book again, Des Duffy? Yeah, right. That's where I couldn't remember whether it was Fold or Call or Bluff. But anyway, I think we got there in the end.
No, but he does them in the wrong order. And the third one...
It's Bluff.
It's the third one's not even where I thought it was going to be.
Detail. Nate Poulton says, Mike Postle, eat your heart out. Lol. And then he says evening all, albeit it might be our internet again. Brendan says, Occam's razor? Lost that one. Paul Haycock says, mate, you get 20 seconds of a song. You haven't got a license for it before Facebook kills your video. Too right. Do you know, I do, from time to time. You'll know I do. Like I did this evening, but most of you won't have heard it. We put a little song on at the start of our Facebook video. And Facebook will then occasionally will come in and sort of say, you're not allowed to do that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to chop that off, your video. And if it's at the start, I'm okay with that. This isn't a monetized video, so we're not making any money from it. So, we're sort of playing with fire, but generally speaking, it's been fine. So playing it halfway through the show, not a good idea. Nate says, wait for the Civil War to kick off if he gets his way. So we're back to Trump. Asa followed up with, maybe it's because I replied to one of Trump's tweets telling him to stop acting like a child and to grow the F up. I think a lot of us have done that. I found myself in a very immature sort of positions over the last few days, just calling out Trump. Silly, really, when you think about it.
But fun.
Oh, it's just fun, but so immature. Nate says, amazing how many Americans I know told me how ashamed they are to be American with him as their leader. Yeah, I'd absolutely buy that. Yeah, Jason says, good luck, guys. Gaz for the win. So with Joe gone, Jason Chillmade is hanging his colours to Gaz. What else have we got? Yeah, Nate says, no, Gaz can't win APAT. It's not allowed. Second place, here he comes. Does Gaz have a gold medal, Lee? Is that a thing?
A gold? No, I don't think he does.
Maybe that's
I think he has other colours, but I don't think he's got gold. Yeah.
And of course, this isn't a medal event, so no medals tonight.
No, he already when he was chip leader earlier on, Gaz messaged me and said, "Is this a medal event, mate?" Yeah. So.
Yeah. JP Round had it. Alistair Campbell. Is it AC? So I'm sure he was in before me there. Chris Bean also. Alistair Campbell, Tom Banks, Alistair Campbell. And Tom helps me by saying spins. Unfortunately, I didn't have that in front of me at the time. Ersey with his turbo. And I think we're nearly up to date. Asa comes back with Crawley versus Torquay Analysis, please.
Right, I've just looked this up, Des. Do you want me to run this past you? Right, so FA Cup first round, Torquay versus Crawley Town.
Yeah.
Due to an injury to one of the players, there was quite considerable added time. So basically it was 3-3 at full time with Torquay scoring in the 90th plus 18. What? Crawley scoring in the 90th plus 14 and the 90th plus 21. So that took us 3-3 into extra time. Obviously, the games have to be completed now, so there's no replays. It's straight extra time and penalties. So it's 3-3. So they go into extra time. Torquay go 5-3 up, scoring in the 102nd and the 107th minute. It ends up Torquay 5, Crawley 6.
What an absolute banger. Helen Chamberlain will be crying this evening. Big Torquay fan.
But do you not listen to that result, listen to that analysis? Just does your heart not absolutely break that those fans were not in that stadium?
Oh, yeah. They would have been talking about that game for years and years.
Yeah. And Crawley beating Wigan as well. That's happened today as well. And that's a derby as well.
Didn't Marine go through against somebody silly? Yesterday.
They did, yes, that was yesterday.
Yeah, so I mean, lots of really little clubs in the second round of the FA Cup this time round. Wow, that's cool. That's cool. Hopefully.
And of course, the gutting thing is some of these could get through to the third round and could then get one of the real big boys. Yeah. And I guess they would be reliant on those gate receipts, and basically they're just not going to get them.
Well, I suppose the lion's share, it might not be fair to say this, but maybe a significant amount of the revenue in the third round against a big club would come from TV. So hopefully they'll still get a bunch of that. And who knows? I mean, maybe there are going to be far more games, covered over the period when we get to that stage. But you're right. Just horrific for the fans. Because getting to the third round of the Cup is a huge thing. And I suppose you get a sense that, more of the smaller clubs could make it this year, just given how odd everything is.
Yeah, whilst we were just going through all of that, it went bang, bang, bang. Gaz finished in third place for $225. Wow. Tommy finished runner-up for $352. And our roller winner for this week was Brian Harland. Very well done to you, Brian.
Well done, Brian.
Hurrah, well done, Brian.
Serial casher, Brian is. Normally playing live, but and certainly plays a fair bit online as well. So very well done to you. And we will focus in on the squads.
Okay, so I have just put a table live as we speak.
Yeah, we're down to 9 players. Go on.
Lee, do we still have a team in the squads? I'd
Yeah,
clean on forgotten all about that.
Technically, we do, yeah, but
I'm not sure. I don't know if you played any squads games, but no, me neither. I'm so sorry. I've forgotten all about that.
The other squads haven't really needed to worry about us for a while.
Did they ever?
No, I don't think we ever cause much concern, to be perfectly honest. I mean, on paper, we're awesome. We really are. But apparently, the funny thing about these squads games, is you've got to turn up and play them. That's how it works. So
wow, quite.
Yeah. Do you know what?
Oh, well,
what's really
so
weird,
sorry.
to be honest? And I had your husband having a go at me earlier on this evening, because I said, yeah, I was going to play some poker today, and that didn't really go according to plan. Not because I didn't do well at the poker, just didn't actually get around to playing anything. And he did have a bit of go at me saying, you've been saying you're going to play for ages, and I don't,
You have.
Really yeah,
I'm going to back up Adam here. I scold you for that. You need to take some time out of this ridiculous schedule you've got and play some poker, especially at the moment. Actually, that's a good question to both of you, actually. Do you think that there will be the same boom in online poker this lockdown as there was in March and April time? What are you expecting the figures to look like for this next month?
I think we'll see a slight increase from maybe the past couple of months. We certainly have seen a drop off. I think everybody has with online poker since the summer months, and obviously there was the massive buzz around, the World Series and the WPT, and then obviously we've gone into W Coupe, but I don't. Yeah, I see it might pick up a little bit for people, but I think, if I'm honest, it gets the feeling very much people's focus is already switched to kind of Christmas and what's going to happen there and what's going on, and we're at that time of the year now. Party have obviously got lots of things on. They've got the Monster Series on at the moment. Then they roll into the Caribbean Poker Party Online, which is starts in another week or two, and then the Irish Masters after that.
There's a WPT somewhere in the middle of all that. Is there a Montreal one or something?
That's been switched to online now as well. Stars are obviously putting on. They put an EPT online on now as well. So they all seem to just be trying to kind of outdo each other again for some reason. It was interesting when we had Daniel Negreanu and Rob Young on the orbit, and they seemed quite open to the idea of, well, let's just not, we don't need to compete against each other. Let's just put enough on for all the players to get to play. But I don't know. It still feels to me like there's players are very focused on, from a financial point of view, about uncertain about what the future holds. And as we've always said with recreational players, it's a financial thing, but I actually think with recreational players, it's more about the time. It's more, that's actually a more precious thing to them is finding the time to get to play these things. So it'll be interesting.
I think I was talking about. I had a meeting about this week. Actually, there was talking about that time thing and obviously recreational players and time is something that me and Mr. Bromley are very short on. And I was talking to somebody about a concept which I've just realised I am suffering from, and I hadn't realised I was. It's crept up on me somewhat, and it's job guilt. And I think you see daily news articles about companies collapsing, more redundancies, firms closing, people being put on furlough, not knowing if they've got a job to come back to, and people really worried about their jobs. And then you realise that you're in a really privileged position where you're in a job, and that job is as secure as it can be in these current times. And particularly the office-based professions, we're working from home all the time. That has manifested itself in me as being this attitude that I must work every waking hour because I can't afford to take my foot off the gas because I might lose that job and I won't be able to get another one. And there are people out there who would really want to get themselves an employment. And I'm definitely suffering from some kind of burnout because I feel like I just wake up in the morning, switch my laptop on, work, take 3 food breaks in the day, and then switch my laptop off when I'm going to sleep at night. And that is definitely a roller coaster of emotions that I'm going through with lockdown. And it's a guilty feeling that I have a job and there are other people there who haven't. And I think that is definitely impacting my decision as to how much online poker I play in the next month or so, whereas in March and April time, I was playing every day and really taking advantage of some of the crazy numbers. And so I've definitely felt that I won't be playing as much in the next month for sure.
That's really interesting to hear. And what makes that, I think, just extra interesting is the fact that I've known lawyers, within companies that I've worked for, and actually that's sort of a normal life for you guys. It's quite normal for you guys to be working on contracts in the evening and stuff like that. It's not healthy. So you shouldn't.
No, it's not.
You shouldn't feel guilty at all. It sounds to me as if you definitely shouldn't be having those feelings. It sounds like you're contributing enormously. But there are lots of other office-based jobs where, for example, you probably, a lot of people can probably have the benefit of turning their laptop off at what might be considered a normal hour, 6 p.m., that sort of stuff. But gosh, you don't find, Natalie, now that you're at home, that actually, working within the comforts of your own environment, not having to travel and stuff like that, that actually can be a little more productive and therefore, maybe buy some time off of your normal
definitely
sort of timeline?
Yeah, I'm managing to switch off a little bit at weekends, although I do work more at the weekends. I'll log on for a couple of hours at the weekends anyway. Adam, he's a lawyer as well. He's worked all weekend this weekend. He's worked all day yesterday and all day today just to try and get himself somewhat organised, ready for Monday morning. I wonder whether it doesn't help in my position because I am an insolvency lawyer as well. Yeah. So I am literally on the front line of everything that's happening in the economy and that everything's happening to businesses and lenders and things that are falling over. So I think there's just an anxiety all the time between feeling very lucky because clearly I'm very busy at the moment. So I'm in a job security and there is money to be made there because I am obviously going to be working. But then I can see what's happening all the time, and that brings a great deal of anxiety. And I'm completely burnt out at the moment. I just work all the time, and like you say, I no longer have a commute at the moment, so I'm working those hours as well. And it isn't healthy. Look, we don't have a very good work-life balance, don't lawyers? At the best of times, we've never learned our lesson. We are really bad. We are bad. We're awful for it. But I genuinely feel like it's got worse.
Do you think would you be able to, do that thing of, even though you both might not be able to fly away somewhere, but to just book a holiday so that actually, you can just take your mind off of it for a week?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, we're only working, we've got a week off in November, a week off in December, January, February, and then obviously we've got March and April are a bad time because it's end of financial year, so we just can't take that time off. But, and listen, this sounds, woe is me, and I am, say this, heavy caveat of I know I am very lucky at the moment, but I have not taken a day off this year since the 23rd of March. Every single holiday I've had to take, and I've taken a week off work where I've been forced to take some holidays. I've worked every single day, so has Adam, and I think it is because of that job guilt. I think it genuinely is. I think that is the effect that lockdown is having on me. Wow. But listen, there are hundreds of thousands of people in the UK who are worried about jobs. They are worried about security. They're worried about where they're going to start paying the mortgage again, or where they're going to pay their rent, or when they're going to put meals on the table. So I do not feel sorry for myself at all. This is purely an observation as to how lockdown has affected me personally. I'm in a job and I am incredibly grateful for being in that job. And this is not a whinge at all, but more a discussion around different people are facing in this second lockdown period. It's very tough.
Yeah, but you've got to look out for your own health and well-being and mental state of mind and all of that important stuff. So you've just got to be strong and don't feel guilty. Try not to feel guilty about the fact that you're busy right now, because there are other people in other industries who are equally superbly busy. And some of them are profiting, some of them are not profiting because of that busyness. Yeah. But it's just nature of the beast. But I suspect that you and your job, you're probably incredibly busy all of the time. So you shouldn't feel guilty at this.
True.
At this point.
That's true.
But I know it's easy to say that, and it's harder to actually feel that. That is a tough position to be in, I have to say. But do take your breaks. I'm glad to hear that you're doing that.
Do you want a poker squads update?
Yeah. How's it going?
You might need a pen and paper to keep up with this, but because you might find this shocking, Des. We're on the final table on a Sunday night, and there's a few different potential variations here, which could result in different winners. I mean, I don't know how this thing works out every week, but Celtic Storm are currently top of the tree. They are all done for the night, though. Brian, Shug, Frank, and Brendan. They can be caught, however. They can be caught by the hit squad, who have Donald Sloss, who's just gone all in on the final table. Donald needs a 5th place finish for the hit squad to overtake Celtic Storm.
Okay.
In 3rd place at the moment are the Lockdown crew.
Yeah.
They can still overtake Celtic Storm as well. They've got Danny Weaver on the final table. As we're just watching Donald get his chips in good and doubles up. Wow. And Danny needs, by my reckoning, a 2nd place finish for the Lockdown crew to overtake the Celtic Storm. But then obviously Hit Squad are in that mix as well with Donald. So it's a bit more complicated than that. But very much in the shout. Now, as far as MVP goes, Shug is currently top of the MVP. Yeah. But he can be caught. You might be surprised to hear.
Of course.
Be disappointing if that wasn't the case.
Does anybody ever check these points totals that you miraculously come up with every Sunday night?
No one checks them. No, we're good. So Danny Weaver, we just mentioned from the Lockdown crew, who's after the win for his team. If Danny gets a 4th place finish, he would overtake Shug for the MVP.
Okay.
However, he's not the only one on this final table that's in the mix, because Steve Healy, Adelaide Bull, he is in with a shout as well. Steve would need to win this tournament to win the MVP. Wow. So there's just a little bit going on.
Listen, I have made a careful note of all of those permutations. I have my own feeling that Steve will go and get this done because, frankly, you've just got to find the person furthest away from that result, and that's what tends to happen on the final night. But when I punch all of those possible permutations into my computer, what my computer throws out is Santa Yum Nuts. Santa Yum Nuts, and I have no idea what Santa Yum Nuts means. Help!
Santa Yum Nuts.
You need to Google it. Yeah, you're going to need to Google it. Natalie is planning on having Santa's Yum Nuts in her mouth. Yeah.
Really?
So,
sweet.
For anyone that's
or salty, perhaps. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure last time Natalie was on the show, we may have had a discussion about Yum Nuts. I think we may well have done. So,
we definitely did. We definitely did.
So for anyone that doesn't know what a Yum Nut is, it's Marks and Spencer's variation on I think what they actually call a cronut, which is a cross between a croissant and a donut. Okay, so they do a number of different flavored variations of it. It's effectively, it's a ring donut, but it's a far more flakier one. And they do a raspberry. I could probably name all the flavor. I'm fairly much an expert.
This is nice.
Now, for Halloween, they brought out the Yum Mummy, which was just a little kind of mummified, a couple of eyes on it for Halloween, which was all sweet and lovely. However, this week they really have pushed their Christmas offering. And let's just say Twitter went into meltdown over this because they've advertised it as Santa's Yum Nuts.
Nice.
Which of course has led to all sorts of connotations. In the nicest possible way, it is just a plain Yum Nut with a red bit of icing on the top and a Father Christmas little belt and buckle. I mean, there's nothing to it, but if you Google it, the world went a bit wild over it. So
I'll tell you what, I saw Gaz Howard in the chat box earlier. I saw Gaz Howard in the chat box earlier. He was talking about yam nuts. Is that the same thing?
No.
Very similar, but yeah.
Do you not want yam nuts in your mouth at all, Natalie? You want to stay away from those. I'm telling you now.
I will take your advice, Des.
So I'm just going to do a quick bit of calculation to ask Nye's question, because actually they've still got 2 players on this final table. I'm trying to work out whether, if they did finish 1 and 2, whether that would be enough to to catapult them into top place. So I will just work that out, and I'll be back to you shortly with that answer.
Wow, quite.
I'm going to need to get another piece of paper, Lee, if Nye's team are back in the running. I have to say.
Nye is all in now and has got the call. He's run jacks into aces. This could save me a bit of calculation here. He's going to need a jack, and he doesn't get it.
That's not it. Unlucky in iron.
And I think that probably will save me a calculation because
that's a no.
That's going to be a no, an iron, I'm afraid.
Unlucky, but thanks at the same time.
Yeah.
Hey, we're due to get an iron on the. We're due to get an iron on the show shortly, right?
Yeah,
we're going to do that.
We've yeah.
But
He's
listen,
just said doesn't matter. Now out in 8th. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so that's the yum nuts rubber. Des, seriously, if you've not tried them, honestly,
are these
you've got
tasty? So,
they're so good.
Natalie.
Oh my days.
Oh,
oh my, yeah, they are.
I'm going to try.
They are the nuts, literally and metaphorically.
They are the best thing.
Oh no, please do yourself a favour and participate in some yum nut action. They are very good. There you go. See, we've covered so many bases this week. We've covered politics and lockdown and football and now cookery. You know, it's a diverse program.
It is. Should we talk about poker? Do you think?
Well, we kind of keep up to date with what's going on. It's very difficult. I mean, funnily enough, Des and I did have a chuckle because somebody on last week's show at some point posted in the chat and said,
Irene, wasn't it?
Can you guys stop talking about football? It was like, well, we're watching the online poker, but there wasn't a huge amount going on as Adelaide Bulls all in with King Deuce against
this is
the
a
ace
huge
jack
hand. Look at the
of
hearts.
Danny. Oh, he's hit the hearts.
Oh, wow.
There's a jack on the end. No good. No good.
So Adelaide Bull is going for the win to get
I told
MVP.
you. He's going for the win.
And Danny Weaver was just trying to knock him out because Danny's the other one that can win MVP as well. So it's all still very much to play for. But yeah, we always kind of say, well, yes, we'll keep an eye on the poker, and occasionally we miss a hand of importance as it's going. But we're not going to sit here and just talk about every single hand that gets played. As Tim Magnus is all in for his how many blinds has he got? 2.5 bigs. So you expect him to get a call here. You'd have thought he has to.
What an unfortunate name poor Donald has got this week.
And he does make the call with 6-4 off.
He has to.
It's
a
4
there.
2, 3, 4.
Oh, 7 on the river. That's Tim Magnus. I tell you what. He hits a lot. He hits a lot of rivers, does Tim. He really does. He really does. Oh, that's mad. But we've seen, I don't know whether it's just, I think we've seen a lot of online hands, and so whether it's just a case of you see a lot, so actually it looks far worse, and actually the river misses far more times than it actually hits for anybody. But it always seems to be on these final tables. It gets quite exciting to say the least. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with poker. I think people are just being sensible. As I say, it's quite scary that actually we're now kind of nearly halfway into November. It just is quite frightening to think that where most of this year has gone.
I know. And we've spent so much of it in lockdown.
It feels like yesterday where we were kind of having the first lockdown discussions.
It was.
But actually it was, like 8 months ago.
God almighty. Oof. It's been a funny year. And it's not, depressingly, it's not like we're going to move into 2021 and it's going to be over. This is going to drift into next year as well, which is going to be painful.
Yeah, I think it is. And it will be interesting to see. I mean, what's your feelings on a vaccine? Because you hear different stories and people saying, oh, it's actually quite close, and then it's not quite close. And, and the NHS, they're ready to put it out if there is one that actually comes along. But it doesn't feel like there's actually anything happening at the moment.
No, I've been quite skeptical as well as to following those stories. And I just think it's because I wouldn't be surprised, and equally I wouldn't blame anybody for putting out and potentially exaggerating certain vaccine stories to try and just as a PR, as a bit of spin, to try and just bring some calm and some order to people who are clearly very concerned with this, particularly people who've got sick as well, or people who are in vulnerable categories. And I don't blame anybody for doing that either. So I think the vaccine stories are not as reliable as you would maybe want them to be. So I'm trying to take them with a pinch of salt at the moment. I think I'm just encouraged by the fact that a lot of the countries that have got the leading medical teams in their universities and their hospitals are working on it. And I just think when it's ready, it will be ready. I think there was some suggestion around June time that actually that the virus would be died before a vaccine was ready anyway. And I think there is still some school of thought that the herd immunity will kick in and the virus will just run its way through the population before a credible vaccine's done anyway. I don't know how comfortable a lot of people would be in taking a vaccine. I couldn't sit here now and say to you with any certainty that I would sign up to have a vaccine. It's just something that worries me a lot. So I don't necessarily think the vaccine is the answer to all of it. So I'm just going to sort of bide my time with that and see when we do have a credible, tested, reliable vaccine in the market, then let's see where we are in terms of numbers, and I'll read about it then.
Where you guys are based, I mean, does the recent kind of step up to the national lockdown, have you seen any much of a difference? Because you guys were in tier 3. We were in
tier 3
anyway, weren't you?
Yeah, but we were only put in tier 3 for a week before we went into national lockdown anyway, so we were behind Liverpool. But we've had enhanced local restrictions for 7 or 8, 9 weeks now, certainly in the northwest, where the vast majority of us have been separated from our families for most of the summer, and that's been very tough. I think from a social perspective, having bars, restaurants, shops open again, life and the start to try and get back into the offices as well, it definitely felt like there's some normality started to set back in. But it's just the enhanced restrictions on being able to visit your friends and family in their houses, because we've been banned from socializing inside other people's houses for weeks and weeks and weeks now, and that's really tough. So I'm not sure that lockdown at a national level has made that much difference to me, apart from the fact that I have to bloody cook now, because I can't go out and eat, which is painful because I store shoes in my oven. I don't know how to cook. So I think that's probably one of my biggest problems. But yeah, no, it's not felt that different for me, just because the Northwest has been really struggling for quite some time now in terms of the local lockdowns, then the tier 3, then the national lockdown. It's just like, oh, for goodness sake, just tell me what I'm supposed to do today and I'll do it, because it's a bit tough.
So we're still 7-handed here. Nothing's changed on what I said earlier on.
Tell you what we should do, Lee. Do you want me to run the first minute of the orbit to show folks who's on the most recent episode? Shall I do that?
Just as Tim's all in with deuces against
watch this hat.
Steve's jacks, and it's going to be a deuce or a 4, and it isn't. So
okay, so this is episode 5 of the Orbit, guys. Just to give you a sense of who's on this show.
Welcome to episode number 5 of The Orbit. My name is Robbie Straczynski, and I'll be your host and moderator for the show, which is being recorded on October 28th, 2020. Our aim here at The Orbit is to bring together some of poker's leading voices to share their views and have a thought-provoking roundtable discussion about some of the burning issues in our industry. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce this episode's panelists. In seat 1, we've got Toby Bentel. Toby is the CEO of the Flutter-owned OddsChecker Global Media, which is the parent company of Poker News, the world's #1 poker media site. He's also been a recreational poker player, both live and online, for almost 20 years. Toby, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
In seat 2, we have Tony G., a former member of the European Parliament. Tony has been a successful businessman and philanthropist for over 2 decades. Tony is also one of the world's most entertaining TV poker personalities, who, with over $7.2 million in tournament earnings, is #1 on Lithuania's all-time money list. Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
In seat 3, we have Kristen Bicknell, a 3-time World Series of Poker bracelet winner. Kristen has been the top-ranked female poker player by the Global Poker Index for the past 3 years. A crusher at both live and online felt with $11 million in combined earnings, Kristen has been an ambassador for Party Poker since 2017. Kristen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And finally, in seat 4, we have Adam Pliska. For over a decade, Adam has been at the helm as president of the World Poker Tour, the premier name in internationally televised gaming and entertainment, which has produced 18 seasons of stellar poker programming broadcast all over the world. Adam, welcome to the show.
Nice to be here.
There you have it, guys. That is episode 5 of The Orbit.
What a lineup.
That is Lee's swanky production. How cool does that look?
That looks amazing. What a lineup. You're getting some names on that show,
Oh, my
Lee.
gosh. It's fantastic, right?
Really is.
It's very much a team effort between Des, myself, and Robbie. We put a lot of time and effort into planning to get the right people in, and the guests so far. I mean, that's now episode 5, so we've had 20 guests on so far, and to be honest, they've all been brilliant, giving up their time to have a chat about the game we love. It's fascinating. And there's some people that you don't. I mean, I didn't really know very much about or hadn't heard of necessarily that that you kind of then get them talking and you go, oh, wow. I wouldn't have known or heard from them before. And actually, but they've got such a fascinating take on the game and the industry and the kind of future for the game. It's brilliant. Really good.
Has that been recorded already, that show now, Lee?
Yeah, that went out on Monday night, premiered on Monday night, and so we're already in. You can watch them all on demand. It's available on Facebook.
No, I was thinking more about asking Chrissy Bricknell, obviously the news last night, the ultimate feminist news that obviously the glass ceiling has been, well, it's not been completely shattered, but there's a bloody great big hole in it. Of course, it would have been interesting to see what she thought of Kamala Harris making first female vice president.
It's just crazy, isn't it? It feels like it feels long overdue.
Very long overdue.
Yeah, I mean and it shouldn't. It's one of those things where you kind of think, well, it shouldn't matter, but obviously it does matter because it's not happened before. But should we be as I suppose it was like when Theresa May was the prime minister. It was that big deal. It's the second one, but yeah, it is, because it seems like it should happen on a more regular basis. What's the issue?
It was a barrier that was unnecessary. There was no need for that to not be a thing yet. Anyway, I was very delighted. It was quite an interesting thing for me. I got quite emotional on Saturday when the news came in, because obviously the massive story was just getting rid of that clown out of the White House anyway. But the minute that was confirmed, my attention insta changed to just this incredible historic, and I did get a little bit emotional. I was just like, this is massive. This is such a wonderful thing.
Let's roll forward. I know we're all enjoying the week, but let's roll forward 4 years. I mean, Joe Biden will be how old?
77.
Older. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
he won't be running a second term.
No. So do we think that actually it would be lined up very much?
I think so.
I mean, it's knowing who. I mean, could it be an all female ticket?
Oh my God, that would be amazing. I don't know who behind Harris is ready in terms of being lined up for the Democrats as being ready to take that step up.
Would it have to be somebody from behind, or could it be possibly somebody that perhaps?
There are a couple of senators and there are a couple of mayors over there who've got a lot of TV time. There's the mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Bottoms. There's a few of them who are extremely good, very strong sort of women. You can tell that they're really, great leaders. That's a really interesting idea about an all-female ticket.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
It's very difficult politically, though, and I do not condone this behaviour at all. But we were talking about this during the campaign, and I do suspect that having Harris on the ticket lost Biden Florida. I think that was just too progressive a stance for them to take to do that. I think that the thing that worries me, and the Democrats will be aware of this, is that do you sacrifice political success by pushing forward something like that? Because there are wrongly a substantial amount of people in America who will not vote for a woman in the White House. So the Democrats are in a very difficult position where they will want to, clearly they're a party that want to champion females in those positions, but to have an all-female ticket would probably cost them an election.
Yeah.
So wrongly, but it's very tough.
I think they only go that route. I think Kamala Harris is an almost shoo-in to be their candidate in 4 years' time. Unless she makes some really bad mistakes, which I think highly unlikely. She's very experienced. But I think she would almost be a shoo-in because it's highly unlikely that Joe Biden would be able to take on a second term. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if at some point during his term, she gets to step in. What might concern me is who she might find herself up against, because I'm not entirely sure the Trump name is going away just yet, and it might not be Donald. It might be one of his kin.
Oh God, Lord, don't.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Kush.
Oh no, don't even.
Crikey. Can you imagine?
I think they have to be qualified. I mean, I'm all for obviously trying to push equality, but I'm also very anti the token appointment, and I don't particularly like a situation where a female or a person of colour is put in a position just to tick a box. So if there are no capable, like you say, if Kamala Harris turns out to be absolutely appalling in her job and she's not the right person to lead the country, and there aren't any other there are better male candidates who will do a better job, then I have no problem with that. The problem is just being able to be given that opportunity to be considered for it. Yeah. But you're right. If there are two exceptional candidates in 4 years to stand as president and vice president, that would just be America would lose its shit.
Do you think we'd ever see an Obama on the ticket again?
No. Michelle, you mean? I'm
so?
assuming.
She doesn't seem to have the appetite for it, Lee.
No, she doesn't.
I don't think so. She'd be popular, but she doesn't seem to have the appetite.
Yeah, I agree. I think she's an exceptional first lady, and I think she's set the benchmark for what that role should be. But I think her skill set is a different one to the skills required to be a political leader of that magnitude. I just don't think she would be a popular choice, but I would question whether she's got the right skill set to do the job as well. And I would put Michelle Obama in that category of a token for the sake of it appointment. I wouldn't be confident that she would be the right person to lead. But who is the senator who Trump's been falling out with? Is it Cortez? Is that her?
AOC.
What she's called? Yes. Clearly, she's incredibly capable and very young. Yeah,
you've got to be 35, right? So I'm not even sure if she'd be 35 in 4 years' time. Maybe she will, but she might be a little too far left, perhaps. But who knows?
She's very, very left. She's got an incredible political career ahead of her, though.
Yeah, you have to say though, it's very easy to.
She's 31, Des.
She's 31, so she'd just tick the box. It's very easy to criticize Trump for the last 4 years, and lots of good reason to do so. But Joe Biden was a really poor candidate from the Democratic Party as well. I mean, he just, I'm just amazed that has ended up being the pairing in this particular race. Joe is so, he's 78. He's 78.
I have a theory on this, Des. I think genuinely happened. I think Democrats were genuinely concerned that the Trump train was going to carry on. And I don't believe that they thought that they would win this election. And there is a cycle and there is a process in Washington where the presidential candidates have got to come through each of the races so that they hit the presidential race just at the right time. And I genuinely believe that the Democrats thought that they would get trounced and Trump would get a second term. Not just because it's Trump, but also most presidents do get a second term. This is only the third time it's the incumbent president's gone out. And I think that they were saving their younger, slicker, like headline grabbing Obama style candidates for a race that they thought they had more chance of winning. And as it turns out, Biden's ended up getting him out. But I that's what I think's happened. I think they wanted somebody to go in there without damaging other prospects, certainly for 2024.
Do we think that the main reason for that was COVID?
No.
For why Trump didn't get a second term? Because if COVID hadn't have been there, what else was Biden gonna stand for that Trump couldn't have steamrolled?
I thought that initially, and I was quite confident going up to the election until I woke up on Wednesday morning that he was going to do it. But if you look at the exit polls that came straight after the ballots closed, 34% of Americans put the economy as the most important factor in choosing their president, and only 19% of Americans put COVID there as being a factor that would determine their president. So as soon as I saw that exit poll, I had a horrible feeling in my stomach. So I just thought he's going to get back in because Trump is linked with being strong at the economy side of it. So actually, in that sense, I don't think COVID has done it. I genuinely think that a combination of Americans being fed up of the hate and the divisiveness, and that coupled with the fact that he hasn't really done anything, and he's certainly not done what he promised he was going to do during his election campaign. I think it's just his time.
I'd argue that I guess that certainly in America, even more so, that COVID has impacted on the economy, and the fact that he did very little or has done very little to to kind of try and protect people or just hasn't shown any interest in the pandemic, really.
I think
that has had a knock-on effect and hasn't really supported, the population with any sort of, whatever you might criticize the UK government for, they're doing that. They're certainly throwing money at it. It might not always be in the right places to everybody, but actually, if you look at it across the population, they are chucking a lot of money at supporting people through the past year.
Lee, can we, given that there's 5 left, call the hit squad the champions elect this week?
Ooh.
And Donald Slaughter's still in. Can we
want to do a Trump on them? Is that what you
champions elect? I think the hit squad might be the champions elect, given that there's 5 left and Donald Slaughter is one of them.
Donald he's in and just got his got that one through.
But there's 5 left, so he needed to finish 5th, I believe, for the hit squad to win. Now I know Danny, who is still very much still in, needs to finish 2nd. So I guess for the lockdown to win. But I guess as long as Donald got to 5th, that's it, right? I assume Danny can't now. Can Danny? So if Donald goes out in 5th,
Des.
Crikey, really? Okay, there's levels on top of levels.
I said to you this was complex. I did say you need a big piece of paper. I mean, it's no. I mean, obviously.
Can I demand a recount? Can we just recount all the scores this week?
Demand anything you like. It's not a problem at all. So basically, the situation is Donald finishing 5th will leapfrog them over Celtic Storm.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that Lockdown Crew can't overtake Hit Squad. So I'd love to call it, but it's
we can't do that. Sorry, that was fake news, guys. We're sorry about that.
It just can't be done. Yeah, I'm surprised you got away with that, to be honest. It's we're not there yet, unfortunately. I think this is where I do my Joe Biden bit of just going. We just need to be patient. We just need to be patient here.
Folks.
Just it's not a
God,
problem.
it was painful though, wasn't it? This week, hell's teeth. I couldn't believe how long it was taking.
But
I did quite like your. I can't think whether it was Facebook or it was Twitter, where you posted up, Natalie, and said, for goodness sake, Nevada, you're normally up all you're normally up all night counting things anyway.
I think it was
how have you not done
Vegas,
this?
Las Vegas literally stays up all night and counts things. Like, what are you doing taking a day off in the middle of a presidential election? Like, what are you doing? What are you playing at? Yeah, I was starting to lose it a little bit then. That's all Nevada does. You think of all the states, they'd be the ones to count things quicker.
I'll tell you what, I loved the moment. I think it was in Pennsylvania, wherever in Pennsylvania, that the officials started covering the windows with all the Trump supporters stood just outside in a foyer area. They're all looking in, and the officials started covering the windows. And of course, this is driving the Trump supporters absolutely mad outside. What are they hiding? But what they failed to understand was that there were about 15 TV crews inside looking out on top of all of the other, auditors, invigilators, whatever you want to call them. It was just insane.
It was.
This really is too close to call, because actually I may have got that ever so slightly wrong in that if Donald finishes 5th, he's actually 0.98 of a point behind Celtic Storm. So he needs a 4th place finish to overtake Celtic Storm. But Danny Weaver, can we say is still in play? Yeah, that's the terminology for the week, isn't it? Yeah?
It sounds like what you're really telling us there is we had a miscount. That's what you're telling me. We had a bloody miscount. We called the whole thing early.
It's very much still up for grabs, that's for sure.
And Tom Banks politically correctly says, I'm amazed that two 70-year-old gents could keep an election going for that length of time. Quite right.
Wow. Boom. Boom, boom.
Quite right.
Boom, boom.
That's quite funny, actually.
Do you want to answer Roddy's? Roddy asked a question earlier on. I don't know if you saw it.
What, Des, you boxed Hit Squad? Is that the one? That was less of a question.
No. It was the one before that when he said, when do you guys go live doing the orbit on Twitch?
Oh, right. Well, what we tend to do, Roddy, is we go through a planning phase. It's only really at the end of the planning phase that we know when the actual episode will go out live. So 2 to 3 days before, we start to just do some marketing, telling people that it will be live on night X at time Y. And we put the videos up on YouTube, so they're available immediately. But we do a first view on the Twitch channel. So on twitch.tv/poker, we do a first view. And that, generally speaking, is the date that we tend to talk about in the marketing message. And you can watch alongside us, ask some questions. Normally Robbie is there, Lee is there, I'm there, and we're happy to sort of offer some opinions. But it's really nice. Yeah, it's a great show. Great little show. We've had a very good response, Lee, haven't we, from the industry in particular?
Yes, yeah, it's actually been quite humbling, I must admit. Actually, it's just we had Robbie on the APAT show earlier on in the year, and then the three of us got talking, and we were throwing a few ideas together about we'd like to do this or that, and I think I said, well, I'd quite like to see a round table poker style thing. I think the example I used is what used to be Hold the Back Pages, but is now the Sunday supplement on used to be on Sky Sports on a Sunday morning with the kind of the industry media discussing the football for an hour and a half. Once we explained to Robbie, who's obviously an American that now lives in Israel, exactly what the Sunday supplement was on Sky Sports in the UK, we were all good, because he had similar ideas at things, and we've gone from there. And yes, it's really nice when you get the likes of Daniel Negreanu tweeting out saying if they're doing poker awards this year, just give it to these guys. It's quite nice that we seem to be being enjoyed by the poker industry, whether it be players or people that are in the industry. It's great.
You should be very proud of it as well.
We have plans, don't we, Lee? We have plans. We're going further with this.
Yeah, we're going to be releasing the Orbit bedspread and pillow set.
Yeah,
that's going to be that's in production at the moment. You can go to sleep with Daniel Negreanu and Rob Young's faces on top of you. We think it'll be quite popular for Christmas, don't we, Des?
I think at 19.99, no one should not want to sleep with Daniel and Rob.
Yeah, you get Rob at your feet, mind you. Daniel's up near, near the shoulders, but Rob's down at your feet, but that's fine. What was Rob's comment? Was it something? I'm better looking than that. The graphics department need to work harder. I think something
He
like
might
that.
have said something like that.
So, minute and 40 left of this break. This obviously we've talked about Steve Healy, the Adelaide Bull, needing to win this to be MVP. Yep. We've spoken about Donald Sloss and Danny Weaver, and I feel a bit guilty now because actually the two chip leaders on this table we've not mentioned yet. Kevin O'Donnell is currently the chip leader, and there's a certain young gentleman by the name of Vincent Ely that's sat here with nearly 1.5 million in chips.
Do we know him, Lee? Has he played APAT before?
Looks a newbie to me. I mean, he's done.
That's
done
Ely.
very
That's
well
a Croatian name, is it not? That would be.
Yeah, he's done very well to make a final table. Probably luck boxed his way here, I'd imagine. I'd imagine he's feeling the pressure now. Let's see, what's his minimum cash now? So he's guaranteed $23.80. That's probably his biggest cash of his career, I would suggest.
I'll tell you what, I've just checked out his website. He sounds like a bit of a cowboy to me. He said he'd have counted, Milwaukee in 30 minutes. He said, "I'm not buying that."
It does make you wonder, though, quite how they can take so long to count all the votes up. That each of the states still has different rules for how they go about doing it. Can you imagine if we had that in the UK, whereby it's like, well, actually, yeah, we've got, down in Dorset, we count differently to how you're counting up in the northeast or London or whatever, and we're going to go with those rules, and that's fine. So you'd have to just wait your turn. If we didn't get a result by sort of 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock the following morning on election night in the UK, there'd be absolute uproar, wouldn't there?
It would indeed. I mean, what I couldn't understand is how they could count millions of votes in like 12 hours, and then like 10,000 votes was taking days.
Was it not the difference between the ballots cast on the day and the ones, definitely. The postal ones, wasn't it? They must have had to have a completely different process for the postal ballots to make sure that they weren't.
No. You've got that wrong. You're getting sucked into what they call the popular narrative. What actually happened was there were people out the back, right, probably from Mexico, writing Joe Biden on tickets and feeding them through a very novel sort of little process. That's what was happening. I read that on Breitbart News.
Well, there you go. I missed that one.
It's the truth.
Big truth. Big win.
Oh my God. So apparently all the lawsuits start tomorrow.
There's no teeth in any of those lawsuits, though. There are a lot of
this is the lawsuits that haven't yet been thrown out.
He's just not gonna. He has absolutely no chance of getting his vote overturned, and all of this is absolute front just to save his ego.
Yeah.
I read something quite hilarious. I don't know whether I'm horrified or just find this hilarious, but I read an interesting piece. I want to say it was in the Washington Post, but I haven't. Don't quote me on that. Not that it matters, but there's obviously mounting pressure on Donald Trump in two things. Number one, there is apparently his businesses. There's about $500 million of debt which is due to mature in about 18 months' time, which his businesses just simply can't pay back because the profit margins don't allow that. So he's under some financial pressure. He was counting on a second term just to try and do something about this. But there's also some speculation that there will be some attempts to hold him criminally liable for the items that he was impeached for, and particularly in the some of the items that he's taken. And there was one suggestion that rather than get that will happen, is that, say, 48 hours before the 20th of January, before Biden and Harris are sworn in, Trump will resign his presidency. Mike Pence will step in as interim president, and his first act of president will be to pardon Donald Trump for all crimes against America.
Fantastic.
His time in office, and therefore make him incapable of being charged.
Fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Well, listen, I've heard that, and it goes a little further. Before he jumps ship, Trump, he's going to pardon all of his kids for any wrongdoing that they may have done. Then he'll jump and get pardoned by pence. It's genius. It can't work.
And I heard once he's
I think, to be
that,
honest, who he pardons,
but I've heard once he's done that, he's also going to make sure that he takes all the light bulbs from the White House as well when he leaves.
I think I'm more concerned that he's got nuclear launch course for 73 days. That's the only thing that's worrying me. I think he can pardon whoever he wants. There's only going to be a relative amount of mischief.
I think the government have taken Natalie off the airways. What do you think, Lee?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, it might be the case.
She's just been.
I heard a very good Trump Christmas cracker.
Oh, did you? Oh, hold on. The FBI have let Natalie go. She's
okay.
back.
I'm back.
So,
the minute I started saying that, my thing crashed and it said unexpected error and you're banned from something. I was like, oh.
I'm surprised it didn't have. I'm surprised it didn't have the FBI logo on it. But you carry on. You carry on.
Yeah, no, I'm going to shut up now because that's between you violating Facebook's rules and me talking about FBI things. We're going to get ourselves.
So I'll tell you. Yeah, I will tell you the Trump Christmas cracker joke that Jen told me earlier on. So why can't Donald Trump go back to the White House?
Because it's for Biden.
Oh,
I heard it. I sent a screenshot of that very joke to Adam about 20 minutes ago while we sat in the room. That is fantastic. I love a good dad joke. It's one of my favourite things in the world. We have a joke a day rule in Bromley HQ, where Adam has to give me a good dad joke every day, and you've made me laugh. And it's a good rule to live by.
You just want to connect with Carl Pilgrim. Your all of your needs in that area will be sorted on a daily basis.
On it. I shall make contact. I'm sorry, this is hugely unprofessional, but you just caught me scoffing on sweets. I think I need a bit of a sugar rush.
No, it's all right. I merrily have got just a selection of Percy pigs to get me through the show.
Oh, I love a Percy pig.
Listen, we've caught worse on this show over the months.
Really?
Not Lee. Oh gosh, yeah.
oh, yeah. We probably best not go there. But I think I wasn't. It's the one show I wasn't at actually. I think.
That's what happens.
We had Natalie, what happened was, with a certain guest, right, who shall go unnamed, right? We're not going to name the gentleman. We'll just say he was a gentleman, right, of many mysterious names. And
obviously.
He in a break, said, guys, I'm just going to, I'm going to take a minute. Which is totally fine. So the table was down. Off he went. And he was filling a kettle with water. I thought he's making a cup of tea, or maybe he's pouring a drink at the table or something. And he returned back, and we suddenly figured out that actually he'd gone to the loo and he was wearing a Bluetooth mic. It was brilliant.
Oh.
It was absolutely brilliant. Thank God it wasn't 4G.
Is he the same guy who lost his tech career and had to go and work for the mob?
Look, I can't say.
Is that who that was?
I can't say, because actually that describes a lot of our memories.
Because if he's that amateurish with his tech, no wonder he lost his career. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, it happens. That's all I can say. It happens. We were there to evidence it, and we were all very professional about it. We said nothing. We continue to say nothing, apart from just this once.
So Steve Healy's in a bit of a spot here if he wants to win this, because he's down to 2 big blinds. So, and he's going to be in the big blind, the hand after this one, once Danny Weaver and Kevin O'Donnell play this one out. As Kevin bets in, I don't know whether Kevin knows that Danny needs to run quite deep in this tournament or not, but certainly this is now going to be a pot that if Danny can win it, as he's checked it back again and goes.
He hasn't got a piece of that.
Goes check, and he's got the 7 on the river, wow. Kevin, which is now going to deplete Danny's stack. So I'm imagining it's a raise from Vince. Imagine Steve's got a call with any 2. He does. It's 8-4. It's ace-9. He needs to hit an 8 or a 4. And he doesn't. And we're going to lose the Adelaide Bull, unfortunately.
Lucky Steve.
But what that does mean now is the hit squad are guaranteed to overtake Celtic Storm.
Do we know? If we had a Danny Weaver first and a Donald Sloss second, would that be enough for the lockdown team?
I will just work it out for
That's
you
a
now.
tricky one. That is a tricky one.
So yeah, Asa described the incident quite well.
It's
Actually,
very colourfully.
Yeah.
He did indeed.
Yeah. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. So Danny's all in. Gets Kevin out and actually gets through all of them.
Tighter than a kipper's face, said Roddy. Hey,
I'm assuming he's referring to Donald. I can only
I
assume. Yeah.
I would think so.
Sitting there quite tired, tightly now, just waiting. It's really difficult because it says although he's got the chips to potentially not apply pressure on Danny. I think both Vince and Kevin probably might be aware of the dynamic. Certainly Vince normally tunes in to the show, so he may well be aware of what's going on. As Danny's all in from the small blind. And Kevin folds. Blinds are now 60,000, 120,000. Oh, just jumped actually to 70, 140. It's the first hand of the new level.
So apparently it's not Donald that's tighter than a kipper's face. It's the scores.
Oh, the scores. It could
Commentator's
either or,
curse, that one.
Yeah. So, Des, in answering your question, if it were to be Danny Weaver first and Donald second, that would be enough for the lockdown crew with Danny to his team to win it.
Okay.
So if Danny wants to be 100% certain of this, it needs to be a win. But obviously it will depend on where Donald finishes.
Yes.
As well.
Another little political mini-series for you both. Anybody else who's watching who likes those types of things, on a BBC iPlayer, something called Roadkill. Which
watched it.
Good.
Brilliant.
It's good, yeah.
Really, really good. Yeah.
I haven't watched that actual.
It's four parts
Only
with
four.
Hugh Laurie. It's very good.
Ah.
Yeah, very, very good.
I watched a terrible film with Hugh Laurie in it this afternoon called, I think it was called Flight of the Phoenix. If anybody's seen it, then do shout out. But I think the premise of the movie is that this plane carrying these scientists crashes in the desert, and they've only got a certain amount of water and temperatures with for them all to survive. And they decide that nobody's going to come and rescue them in the middle of a desert in China somewhere. And so they decide that they're going China. Oh, that's how wonderful that's come around for us. And they decide to build a new plane with the wreckage of the plane that's crashed.
It's going to be a smaller
like you
plane.
do. Slightly smaller plane, yes. But it was such a terrible movie because there was no character development and there was no plot twist and no action. So it effectively just became a story about them building this plane. But because, of course, that's an absolutely ludicrous idea, you never saw any close-ups or any action about them building this plane. And then when they built the plane at the end of it, they set off, they kind of like fell off this cliff and it, of course, flew. But all like 7 or 8 survivors were all holding on to the wings. They were like led down on their stomachs, holding on to the wings.
Hold on, was that Flash Gordon?
Yeah, no, that sounds it. What the hell just happened there? Danny just missed
So
a week.
they both got it all in, basically with a pair of sixes, effectively, Danny and Kevin, and it was 6-3 for Danny, and it was King 6 for Kevin, and it runs out effectively 2-4-5 to give Danny the straight.
Donald's in trouble.
with the
He's
three.
gone. Wow.
Oh,
And we've
Donald.
lost Don.
It was inevitable. He was going to get evicted this week.
Wow.
Sorry,
His plane's
Donald.
gone down.
His plane's gone down. Yeah. So it was a ludicrous film. If anybody wants to watch it, don't.
I tell you, the little twist that film needed was on building the smaller plane. The 7 of them find that only 5 can fit in it. That's the twist that movie
that'd
needed.
been a good twist.
It's like
Well,
Lost. It's like Lost regenerated.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Except they built a. Go on.
Tom Banks, who knows a thing or two, said the original with James Stewart is amazing.
Well, the
Ernest
remake is not
Borgnine,
good.
Hardy Kruger. So yeah.
Oh, it was
There
terrible.
you go. Wow.
It was really terrible. And like I said, it doesn't really need a twist that only 5 of them can fit in them because they just led on the wing anyway. And then the action shot when it goes over like Thelma and Louise style over the cliff, and then it does this spectacular like loop the loop to like set off, and you're like,
actually,
there's 7 people on the wing. What are you doing?
Yeah, listen, it sounds like the sort of project that Matt Dale would be involved in. Lee, I don't know if you sort of see some similarities there.
Sure. Something very strange has happened at Bromley HQ. Mr. Bromley has closed his laptop, switched the fire off, the lights off, and just gone upstairs and left me in the living room. This is.
I'm assuming the poker hasn't ended well. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm now alone in a cold living room with my cat. That's rude.
That's not good. Well, with three left, and that means we can confirm that Danny Weaver is going to be MVP for the week because he needed a 4th place finish to overtake Shug. So he's still going 3-handed at the moment, but he is going to be MVP for the week for sure. Not going to be able to be caught by anybody else. So very well done, Danny. You're obviously concentrating on your game 3-handed here now. I'm just working out where he needs to finish for the team to overtake as well. So Hit Squad have overtaken Celtic Storm, and let's have a look. It's going to be a 2nd place finish will be enough for Daniel Weaver to get the Lockdown crew to the top of the table.
To do the double.
So already secured the MVP. He needs one of these 2 others to bust before him for him to do the double. Lockdown crew is Danny, Pete Wigglesworth, Graham Pound, and Tom Banks. See, Pete and Tom are both been in the chat. Obviously railing their skipper. See if he can do the business.
Well, it's been a bit like the Premier League this weekend. We've had that many leaders. Tense finish.
It's been a crazy weekend. I mean, United even won. I mean, that's how bizarre a weekend it's been.
That's great. I mean, as far as I'm concerned,
Ole got
happy days.
Ole got really upset as well. Yeah,
That's about as riled as I think I've ever seen him as well in that interview.
he was really up. Do you know? The trouble was, I don't mind somebody coming out with being passionate about something, but it looked fake.
It did look fake.
It
and
looked
also
horribly, as if like, right, I know what I'm gonna say, and it didn't look at all like naturally. Oh, I've started talking, but actually, do you know what? I want to talk about this. It looked as if he had in his head what he wanted to say, and it came across. It didn't come across very well. Interestingly, though, I see that both Klopp and Pep after today's game have kind of come out with similar things about. We're gonna, we need to do something about these fixtures. It's just ridiculous.
I have to say though, I have very little sympathy for you and your top 6 problems, quite frankly.
Sorry, top 15 for United, please.
Okay, sorry, top 15.
Oh, and look in the chat now. So Aniran says, looking forward to going down the pub for a meal tomorrow. Lockdown over.
Hey,
yeah. The Welsh are in a good spot.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah, whether the numbers it's affected the numbers for them, but they did a 2-week what they called a fire break. Which is I had planned next week to pop up and see my mum and dad, but of course, isn't it typical? So they come out of lockdown tomorrow. for 2 weeks, and we're still in it for another 3 weeks. So I can't.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand why we are the United Kingdom and we seem to have 4 nations making up 4 different rules on what they're going to do. It would be quite great to have some sort of consistent level with it. It's very weird. I mean, my brother and his partner, both of them live in Wales but work in England, and he said it's just really, really weird.
I think
and he's expecting next week that they're going to be stopping quite a lot of people going across the into Wales asking why are you travelling. I think Danny's all in with ace 10 and it's ace king for Vince. He's hit his 10 though. But the Broadway on the turn means Danny is going to depart in third.
Holy
and
God.
That's not going to be enough, I'm afraid.
Oh, wow.
Yet again, somebody that doesn't have any skin in the game on this final table, Des, goes and spoils the party for the others.
That's the beauty. That is the beauty.
It's a nice position to be in, isn't it?
Yeah. Listen, Lee, on lockdown and what have you, I think what Great Britain should do is to go out in the world to find somebody who's available, right? An expert, right, in COVID management, the economy, perhaps, the building of borders and walls, all of that good stuff.
What, somebody
just
that might be
find somebody who's maybe available,
looking for a slight, maybe a career change, perhaps, or coming to the end of their contract, something like that.
Ideally, right? Ideally, maybe for I don't know, 3 to 4 years, just to.
I mean, you want somebody that can communicate in with their caps lock on, that kind of person. Are we talking about?
I'm thinking somebody could explain to the Scottish how nice the English actually are. That sort of person.
Yeah.
Do you know anyone? Do we know anyone?
He'd have that
Brian
Hadrian's
Yates
wall rebuilt, wouldn't he? Yeah. Yes.
We'll get Brian
Hadrian's wall built. That's the most underrated comment of the entire evening, Lee Wiltshire.
It's quite scary though, isn't it? When you think I'm genuinely looking forward to. So I don't know whether either of you guys watched Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
John Oliver, I love him. Yeah,
absolutely, just the best TV. So obviously I cannot wait for we get it on a Monday night, so it'll be it's in the US tonight, and then it'll be on tomorrow night. So I cannot wait for that show tomorrow night because
it's going to be amazing.
He'll have a fair bit to say. It's quite so. John Oliver is kind of my American thing, and do you guys follow Jonathan Pye on social media in the UK?
No, I'm not sure I've come across him.
Jonathan Pye is brilliant, political kind of. It's kind of a character, but it's very good. You find him on social media. I've actually watched him went to his live show last November. Actually, feels a lifetime ago, but very good political satire kind of thing. So well worth checking out. So. Yeah, I think we can pretty much confirm, because I don't think Vince or Kevin are going to make a difference to anything here. But obviously, we will watch them play out as Kevin goes all in.
Here we go.
Call with 8-4, wow. 2 pair for Kevin. Vince had the kings. Oh, horrible!
Wow!
Horrible. So they're back fairly even. So whilst they're still playing out there, I can just confirm that I think for the first time in squads, Hit Squad have done the business. The boys from the Hit Squad, Rob Green,
Hit Squad team.
Rob Green, Donald Sloss, Michael Lee, and Peter Monroe. Well done to you guys. Absolutely superb effort. The Celtic Storm ended up hanging on to second spot. So well done to Brian, Shug, Frank, and Brendan. Well done to you guys. And as I mentioned a little while ago, Danny Weaver from the Lockdown crew couldn't quite do it for the team on the night, but he has done enough to win the MVP for the week. So well done to all of you guys as we watch Vince and Kevin play this out. So Nye's just explaining all the situations. So Wales don't use Serco for their test and trace, so it's all done with local authorities. And they find 95% of contacts last week.
Can't see it. Can't see 95%. I think people are lying. It's too high.
Thing is, though, you could find 95% of people in Wales last week. Bear in mind, they were all on lockdown.
so I didn't contact anyone. Maybe it just feels too high. It's too easy for people to lie about these things.
Lying's the new norm. It's just become normalized as lying.
Yeah, I think so.
Trying to look for Jonathan Pye now. See who this guy is.
I'm just going to use the show to respond to Gaz Howard, because I'm hoping Gaz is still listening, because basically I can't be bothered to type it, if I'm perfectly honest. So, but it is actually a valid question, which is worth just explaining. So Gaz has just messaged me and asked about the roller, saying 51 entries in the roller. So it's $30 buy-in. So surely that should be £1,530 in the prize pool, but it's only showing 1,500. Why is that? Well, it's because we have feeders into the roller, so people can go in with variable stacks. So sometimes you get a situation whereby people go in with shorter stacks, which means it'll show more entries have made it through to the final phase, but they've not gone through with a full stack. The prize pools are always right. It's just sometimes the prize pools don't tie up exactly with the number of entries that you've got if you just multiply it all together.
That's a bit of a nonsense, isn't it? Why does it do it that way?
It's the way you would do it. It's the way it's the right way to do it, because the prize pool needs to correlate to the number of chips that are in play in the final phase. So it's always got to do it that way.
Okay.
100% the right thing to do. You couldn't do it any other way, Des. No other way to do it. Otherwise, it would just be a satellite, and they're not. It's a phase tournament where you can take a variable stack through.
Understood.
So, yeah. So, for example, if say, for example, in one of the feeders there were only 5 runners, and therefore it generated 25,000 in chips. Well, therefore only $15 would go through to the final phase, not $30, because there's only 25,000 chips, not the 50,000 chips going through.
Yeah, the key variable being they're not awarding seats in the phased element.
No,
they're awarding
it's the actual
positions. Based on level X. Yeah, I get it.
But really good question, Gaz. Always worth asking. And say then it's because you're probably not the only one that's ever questioned it and just thought, well, yeah.
So there aren't any funds I can throw towards the old Ferrari? No.
No, unfortunately not.
Because we don't take the money, right?
No. We don't take a penny. No. We've got that very well.
We really screwed that up at the start, huh?
Yeah, we should have thought about that a little bit more, really, and just and taken some sort of additional rake or something out of it all. We'd have been okay then. You'd have at least got the badge for that Ferrari, I think. To be honest,
I dream of the badge. I'm going to put it on a medallion.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear it.
Have you started watching Long Way Up yet, Des? Have you got into that yet or not?
No. Long Way Up. This rings a bell vaguely.
You've got your Apple TV back, yeah. So you can.
Well,
so this
Sean,
is
Sean has access to Apple TV, and
so this is the Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Third one, yeah.
There you go.
So doing from the southern tip of South America right up to Los Angeles on electric motorbikes. Yeah. So you really should watch. It's
absolutely
brilliant. Really, really good.
I'll add it to the list.
Yeah, I do warn you though, if you like your travels and whatever, it's not great. Bear in mind we're all on lockdown, because it does make you just want to go off on a road trip somewhere and just do it.
It's okay. I fly a lot these days.
Well, you're still doing.
You build your own plane.
Stuff. Yeah, I've got my own plane.
Did you build it from a wreck in the desert?
No, I downloaded it, which is slightly more surreal than your story. No, I downloaded it.
Is this flight simulator that's linked to Google Maps?
Yeah, and do you know the really scandalous thing is I haven't had a go in it for about 4 to 5 weeks now, which is shocking. Every now and again, I think to myself, I've got to do the old flight simulator tonight and then.
Where was the first place you flew to?
Where's the first place I flew? That's a very good question.
If it wasn't down Las Vegas Strip, then I'm disappointed in you.
I've done Las Vegas.
He loves Southampton.
I have done Las Vegas. I have flown 10 feet off of the ground at great speeds up and down the Strip. I tell you, you'd have been proud. And then Sean and I did a great trip when we were over there. We went to the Hoover Dam and off to
lovely.
the west part of the Grand Canyon. So I thought, I'm going to do that flight.
The Hoover Dam is like Notre Dame, by the way, just in case you're all wondering. Yeah, so.
It's a bit like that. So it's fantastic. I really, really enjoy this thing.
I do want to get that. I really do.
It's really, really good. But it takes a little bit of time, to really enjoy a session, as it were.
Yeah. It's quite good for me as well because I'm generally quite petrified of flying.
You don't like flying at all, do you?
I hate it. No, I'm really scared. Although, if 2020 has actually got me to a stage where I'm desperately excited about getting on a plane again.
You would, yeah.
Well, listen, just a tip. So I think ahead of Christmas, they're doing beta trials at the moment, but they're going to bring out the virtual reality version of it. So
really?
It's just
God.
It's just an upgrade to the current product, and you've got to buy the goggles or whatever. But you're effectively in a plane, looking out the window, virtual reality. I think it'll be stunning. That's what I think.
Yeah, I look forward to that. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for that. I'm quite an aviation geek, actually. Aviation technology fascinates me. My dad wanted to be a pilot, was colourblind, so ended up as an aviation engineer. He built parts for Rolls-Royce engines all his career. And that gene was definitely passed to me, and I'm fascinated with air shows, and I love everything about planes. I just don't like sitting in one because it really says I'm very it's just not good.
That is fair enough. I think with this
Lee has been at airports with me.
Oh, yeah, I've done that too, and I don't know where it comes from. I mean, it's madness, really. But with this simulator, you literally can sit in any number of planes, and you're looking at switching them on and hitting the switches, and it's like you've got the entire sequence. You can talk to air traffic control. A real simulated. How would I say it's almost. The flight simulators, there are also people who simulate air traffic control. So you're talking to real people.
Oh, amazing.
It's just the whole thing is there. And the weather system and the planetary quality of the visuals and stuff. Fantastic. It's a fun hobby. It is a hobby as opposed to a game.
Yeah, I would definitely be wanting to do that, sure.
So a couple of quick shouts out in the chat. So JP says he walked into the comedy tent at Reading Festival in 2017 to see Jonathan Pye. Had to swift 180 to leave after a minute as he had Henry with them, who was only 10 at the time. So very funny 60. Very very funny 60. Yes, Jonathan Pye is certainly not suitable for work content, but yeah, check him out on Facebook or whatever. And he does say he's a kind of a fake report, just as Kevin's all in with ace queen against king 7 for Vince, ace on the flop and a king as well, and that I think is going to be that. It is.
There
yeah,
we go.
Kevin O'Donnell finishes in first and Vince in second. Well done to both you guys. Yeah, but check out Jonathan Pye if you can. Say it's satirical political stuff, ranting to say the least, but is well worth tuning into if you can. Let me do one final just repeat of who finished where for those that might not have caught it. The hit squad, well done to Rob Green, Donald Sloss, Michael Lee and Peter Monroe. They finished top of the pile on game week 31. Celtic Storm hold on for second place. Well done to Brian, Chug, Frank and Brendan. And as far as the MVP goes, it's Danny Weaver from the Lockdown crew. Very well done to you all.
Fantastic. I'm leaving on a jet plane. Come on, all together now.
Facebook
all together now.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not going to take it down from me. I'm pretty sure of that. Listen, the lovely Natalie. Thank you so much for your company tonight, Natalie. It was absolutely brilliant. Really good conversation. Yes, we've turned away a lot of people who don't like politics, but that's going to be done now, right? We're all politicked out until next weekend when we'll do it all again.
Hey!
Yay! So, Natalie, thank you for your time and good luck with the spin maestro himself, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Lovely. And to all of you guys out there who were playing, guys and gals, playing or not playing, thank you for joining us tonight. We will be back next Sunday night with another guest. So enjoy your week's poker and hopefully lockdown goes somewhat smoothly for you. So that's it from us, guys. That is in fact a wrap. Night, everyone.